Good morning to you. It's another Monday right here in the capital city of Abuja. Welcome to the show this morning on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. How are you doing? How are you feeling? We hope you're ready for another week's broadcast. Of course, the news didn't go on a break. So many things happened over the course of the weekend. I think it was on Saturday where Nigerian musician icon Onyeka Onwenu was put to rest yesterday, on Saturday rather. Late Nigerian musician icon, music icon, Onyeka Onwenu, this is the elegant stallion. She was buried on Saturday in Lagos. She died on July 30th at Reddington Hospital in Ikeja after collapsing at an event honoring Stella Okole, the managing director of a particular pharmaceuticals company. Well, she was laid to rest over the course of the weekend. Meanwhile, there are on ministers. Strong indications have emerged that President Bola Tinubu is planning to rejig his cabinet to ease out underperforming ministers. The president has been facing increasing pressure from within and outside his party, the APC, to sack ministers, some of whom appeared to have been inactive. The president had last year set up the Result and Delivery Unit, headed by the Special Advisor to the President on Policy Coordination, Mrs. Hadiza Bala Usman, to measure the performance of ministers and other top government officials serving in this administration. He warns that any minister or aide that underperformed would be sacked. And we saw that some people have called it a sham of a review of the minister's performance so far. 1 year after, we saw that. That was July. We saw that review, and a lot of the ministers were scoring themselves 100 of 100, looking at the performance so far. But we'll watch and see if the president will indeed rejig his cabinet. Talking about the president arrived yesterday morning to the warm embrace of his hosts there in China. Meanwhile, Nigeria and China will open high-level economic discussions today in Beijing. The president Xi Jinping welcomed the president of Nigeria yesterday as he arrived yesterday morning to the economic summit that's supposed to happen today. So we'll watch and see how all that plays out. Meanwhile, this is a very, very interesting story. Petrol scarcity set to worsen as NNPCL has admitted a $6 billion debt. There are indications that the pump price of premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, may rise in filling stations as the NNPCL finally admitted that it was facing challenges due to a $6 billion debt. After weeks of denial, the NNPCL finally admitted yesterday evening that it owed its petrol suppliers the sum of $6 billion, saying it was facing a financial strain due to the petrol supply costs. In a statement by its chief corporate communications officer, Olufemi Sonoye, the state-owned energy company subtly confirmed that the debt was the reason for the fuel queues in filling stations across the country, stating that it is impacting supply sustainability. In July, recall that Nigeria's debt to suppliers of petrol had surpassed 6 billion naira. There was a report about that, making the NNPC to struggle to cover the gap between the fixed pump prices and international fuel costs. I mean, that's what that's what informs pump price in the end. You know, when you export, petrol and it's refined and finally brought back into the country at a landing cost, finally it gets distributed to different places for selling to Nigerians. So all that informs the pump price, the final pump price of petrol, and that's what has been the issue so far. So a report stated that NNPC began struggling earlier this year when late PMS payment had surpassed 3 billion naira. The company had still not paid for some January imports, traders said, and the debt keeps pushing up and piling up. Under contract terms, NNPC is meant to pay within 90 days of delivery of petrol. But what we're seeing right now is months of debt owed by the NNPC to petrol suppliers. Well, we'll watch and see how all that plays out, and I can't wait to hear what Rufai Oseni has to say about this. Meanwhile, Serap has sued Godswill Akpabio and Abbas for fixing National Assembly's running cost. Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has filed a lawsuit against the Senate President, Mr. Godswill Akpabio, and the House Speaker of the House of Reps, Mr. Tajuddin Abbas, over the failure to end the apparently awful, unlawful practice by the National Assembly of fixing its own allowances and running costs, and the failure to account for the monthly running costs paid to members. If you recall, there was that back and forth with how much the National Assembly members really make and just who fixes those prices. And now Serap has sued them on behalf of all members of the National Assembly. Watch and see how that plays out. Meanwhile, resident doctors NAD suspend their warning strike and they've resumed today. NAD has directed its members to resume work today following a 7-day nationwide warning strike embarked upon by its members over the abduction of their colleague, Dr. Ganiat Bukwola. She was kidnapped 8 months ago. NAD, however, said it would review the federal government's commitment to resolving its demand in the next 3 weeks. NAD began a 7-day warning strike last Monday, and looking at all that has played out, we'll watch and see how this particular conversation is resolved between NAD and the federal government. Remember, on Thursday, the federal government had threatened resident doctors, the striking resident doctors, that it would invoke the no work, no pay policy for the striking resident doctors. We'll just watch and see. Some people have said that was a move to strong arm NAD, but we'll watch all that plays out. Meanwhile, power generation is down by 1,400 megawatts as discos reject allocations. Efforts by the federal government to ramp up the power generation seems to be suffering a setback following the refusal of the electricity distribution companies to offtake the power allocated to them. Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu decried the rejection of power by electricity distribution companies, describing it as regrettable. Now, according to the minister, generation of power peaked at 5,170 megawatts on Friday. Unfortunately, it had to be ramped down by 1,400 megawatts due to the inability of the discos to peak the supply. Well, we'll watch and see all this drama between the federal government and discos, between the federal government, NNPCL, and suppliers. The drama is just plenty at this point, but we'll watch and see how all that plays out. I've got some voices in the news this morning. A lot of conversations have been had so far over the course of the weekend. Yesterday, there was a report of a particular terrorist leader, Bello Turji. He's been popular so far. Him and his boys were celebrating as they overtook an armored personnel carrier, an armored bunker with lots and lots of ammunition. Turji is even sending a warning to the Nigerian soldiers that he is coming for them. A lot of people have said, well, this is a slap on Nigeria's faces. Well, we'll watch and see how that plays out. Meanwhile, take a listen to how that went down.
والجهاد بإذن الله تعالى الله أكبر هذا فلو والجهاد الله أدرتامو تاغوتا نيجيريا من كايسو الله أكبر والجهاد بإذن الله تعالى الله أكبر Nigeria, Allah adirtamu, Allahu Akbar. Allah adirtamu.
In the video, you could see them holding a lot of ammunitions, chanting and screaming Allahu Akbar. And you could see that this fight has to be won, because there's a lot of back and forth with individuals like this. This Bello Turji guy has been unleashing in the north so far, and this needs to end so that we can finally have peace, especially looking at some of the foreign intonation that this has, looking at sponsorship from different individuals across Africa, across the world. You could see that sometimes some of the places that they hit could actually be places with mineral resources in the north. So some of these could be ways to frustrate the growth of Nigeria. Meanwhile, there was a little bit of drama between the PDP and the APC. I mean, it's a couple of days before the elections in Edo State. 21st of September is election day, and there's, you know how it is, campaigning season, everyone is going back and forth. There's been a conversation between Oshomole and Adams Oshomole and Godwin Obaseki's wife, Betsy Obaseki, who claimed that the APC candidate of Edo State, Okpebolo, doesn't have a wife. So let's take a listen to what Adams Oshomole said yesterday.
Yesterday to see Mrs. Obaseki, the first lady, saying that our candidate has no wife. She is the most, I'm sorry that she had to say that, because here is a woman who has no child. Between him and Obaseki, they have no child, they are childless. They are even not ready to adopt. I mean, I don't blame anybody who don't have a child. But people who have love for children, they go to motherless home and adopt children. They have not adopted, they are both in their 60s. So you married with, I don't know whether it's a contract or whatever it is, but they have no child. Now, our candidate not only have children, he has invested in the education of those children, such that you watch them on live television, covered by your media stations, where the first one that spoke is a lawyer, the second one is a medical doctor, and they address the crowd in Edo South, in Edo Central, in Edo North. And their mother was there. I was shocked yesterday to see Mrs. Obas.
Well, she went low. He decided to go to the deepest. I mean, I don't know what exactly we've turned politics into, but having children is not a man's job. I mean, it's not you that gives yourself children. It is God that gives children. So I don't know why we have to go into this, but I mean, there's a lot of drama going on before the Edo State elections. We'll watch and see how all that plays out between Godwin Obaseki, Asue Igodalo, and pardon me, APC's Okpebolo, Aswe Godalo, and Olumide Akpata. We'll watch and see how the drama plays out for the seat in Edo State. Meanwhile, there's a conversation that was had concerning Wike accusing the PDP governors of playing both sides. Those who are supporting Siminalayi Fubara in this conversation, he dragged them like this, like saying, "Us, you know Wike now. Let me play it so you can hear how it went down."
When I continue, I will remain where we are, and I will continue. I did not hide it in 2023 when I said, PDP, I will not support you for presidential election. Did we hide it? I said, we will not support you because he refused to allow justice, equity, and fairness to play. And so, we don't regret. When Buhari was there, he never see me play two sides. I never went to the villa in the night. And in the daytime, I come out and shout. Day and night, I never went. Some of them now, in the night, they love the president. In the daytime, they say different things. Be a man of character. Stand so that people will know this is whom you are. I hear some people now say, oh, they are supporting the government. Why wouldn't you support him? We defeated their own candidates. Tell us, who was their candidate in 2023? They all lost. You're not ashamed what you did not plant, you want to harvest. An ambroba is an ambroba. Any day, any time. People have no shame who swore over their dead body. That's why when people die, sometimes don't cry. You don't know what led to their death. People took oath over their dead body. Will they come around this small boy? Today, they are coming around, not only coming around, running around and serving. Tomorrow now, when they die, they decide.
It's really interesting how this drama has played out and how Wike has been allowed to run wild, unchecked by the PDP. I mean, this is him admitting to anti-party politics so far, and the party has done nothing to ensure that this has been addressed. Punishments meted out and all that to act as a deterrent to individuals who would love to play both sides for the next elections. I mean, what is stopping another individual from coming out to say tomorrow that, well, I do not support PDP's presidential candidate or PDP's Edo State candidate. I support APC's Edo State candidate. There's no the party's working system, the way to act as a deterrent, the way to punish erring individuals within the party, the way to sort out issues amicably within the party, it doesn't seem to be functioning at this point. So there's a lot of questions about the PDP right now, but we'll have that conversation with Larry Oguego on the 8 o'clock hour. Meanwhile, maybe we'll just reach out to Rufai so we can have our conversation and then take a break and pay some bills. There's a lot in the news this morning, and a lot has to be said for things that are happening in the country and how it affects us as Nigerians. Meanwhile, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and the service chiefs got a marching order on Sunday from the Minister of State of Defense, Bello Matawale, to relocate to Sokoto State over the spate of terrorist attacks in the state and the Northwest. All right, we have Rufai on the phone. Good morning to you. Welcome.
Morning. Guessy, they're always getting marching orders from the same Matawale with all of his leadership in Zamfara State. What was done against the bandits when he was there? So the question is, what is the marching order going to change? Is it today we've been getting marching orders? And the insecurity situation keeps getting on the increase. So is it today we've been getting marching orders, Guessy? And Guessy, maybe you were the one I was betting with the other day that led the case against the police start. Hope you've seen that the first day it has started now. You didn't hear any talk about terrorism when the Ajero interrogation started. So maybe it was you I was betting with that day.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Let's be counting score now. Let's be. You know that day you said my mouth was smelling. You didn't literally say my mouth was smelling, no, but
I understand.
So we'll be watching. See, the police must give us that evidence that Ashiro was planning terrorism. That's what we want to see. Even the other day, it was also you that I told that I do not trust when NNPC kept on denying that they said they were not owing any money, 6 billion suppliers. Are they not the ones that have come out to say now? Night. And they now said that that's why we're having false casting, because they have financial experiences. So I'm counting scores, guess that's 2-0.
Mr. Rufai, don't worry, one day we will equalize. But now the question is...
I just think I don't... You see, all of this, I analyze from a place of experience, and I say the truth. If I was not talking the truth in this country, I should have been a billionaire. But for me, I cannot afford to say, because of my own personal benefit, I will not speak the truth to my country. Because my life is not for now, it's for generations yet unborn. That's just it.
Mr. Rufai, I'm wondering what exactly could be causing this issue with the NNPC in terms of this amount of it's a huge sum. $6 billion is a huge sum of money.
Yes, it's a direct effect of mismanagement. Shebi used to sell refined oil. If NNPC was serious all this while, that money, they could have also plowed it into fixing their own refinery and be honest. But you see, they will never do it because they will probably gain more from importing from abroad. Their refineries, they told you was going to start working by August. As August not passed, are we not in the 2nd of this thing today? 2nd of February, September. As the refinery works, didn't they say it was mechanically complete in December last year? Is it not almost going to 1 year? So you can see, I see when you are not sincere, that's what you get. See, it's not just about anything. If you remember, guessing, you saw the NNPC financial report where they said 4 trillion was being used on these refineries that have not produced a single oil, and they were taking 4 trillion in running costs. Is that money not enough for subsidies? That's why we say reform the NNPC, because it's a cesspit. If I say the NNPC has failed now, then Mr. Shonaya and Co will be saying, Rufai, you don't know what you're saying, you're stupid, you're an idiot. Has NNPC not failed? That's just it.
So what's the way forward with NNPC right now? Because this queues, I don't know how long it's going to last. Are they going to increase the pump price?
Let me tell you something. The NNPC always watches the body language of the incumbent leader. If you put your foot on the ground, you will reduce corruption. If you don't put your foot on the ground, the corruption will triple. I'm not saying there was no corruption in NNPC in the past, but it was not as much as this under some leaders. Except the current president is ready to put his foot on the ground, nothing will change. Yes, it all goes back to leadership. If we don't have a leader that is ready to change the trajectory of things, nothing will change. That's just it.
So we're going to keep seeing queues until something happens. I mean, the other day we were talking about...
I'm sorry, for half of this year, have you not had fuel scarcity?
Yes, we have.
Yes, now. For close to half of this year, you pretty much have... This one that we're already on now, is not more than a month or two. So let's stop deceiving ourselves. Nigerians are already used to it.
All right. Moving on from that, Rufai, there was a video that surfaced, I think it was yesterday. Bello Turji and some of his cronies, they had seized a particular bunker and they were rejoicing, saying that the Bello Turji and his boys, they were celebrating as they took over an armored personnel carrier with lots of ammunition, sending a warning to Nigerian soldiers that he's coming for them. I mean, I don't know how much more of this that we can take in the country where we have insecurity and leaders or non-state actors who have decided to just take the country and just make a mess of it.
How many years have you been hearing the name Bello Turji? Nothing will happen. You see, except the state rises up and we do all within our power, nothing will happen. Non-state actors are running riots. They're everywhere. People like Bello Turji has the nerve to be saying all that he's saying. And people are looking at him. Nothing will happen because, you see, people like Bello Turji, the politicians should also come clean. When they were empowering people for their elections, I'm not saying they empowered Bello Turji, don't get me wrong. But when they empower miscreants for all their elections, they don't know the cascading effect of the guns in the system they are putting in. So let's stop deceiving ourselves. The politicians cannot be exonerated for the direct link of all the banditry we have in our country today and in the north. So the day we stop deceiving ourselves, that's the day our lives become better.
Because we're still having issues of insecurity. I mean, just before you hopped on the call, I was talking about the CDS who had gotten a marching order and to supervise operations in Sokoto State.
And I was telling you that there's nothing going to be different. We've always get marching orders. Didn't President Buhari say shoot outside? The same Buhari that a lot of Nigerians voted for the APC was saying that it's the general will end insecurity in one day. So...
All right. Rufai, let's move on to Edo State. I mean, there's just been a lot going on in Edo State.
I'm disappointed in Oshomole as well as the wife of the governor. That's not campaigning. You can campaign with initiatives that have been done and the things you will do. Which one is some people we are the only as only a candidate that have wife. And Oshiomhole responding in return by saying
you don't have
no,
children.
You don't have children. What kind of is that talk? Is that talk? Edo State today has problem with water. The reticulation is going to cost close to 100 billion to be able to provide water. How about debating on how to bring forward those ideas? Till today, we've been calling on Mr. Puebolo to come on air. He's not come on air. How about debating? But you see, Nigeria is a joke. Everything is a joke. Just like how we went to announce a coach when we have not perfected the contract, and today we don't have that coach any longer in the NFF. That's Labadia. So everything is becoming a joke. Even our politics have become a joke.
During the 2023 elections, we were talking about issue-based elections, right? Campaign rather, issue-based campaigns. I don't know why we threw that away and decided to go low, because she went low and he decided to go even lower and just make a mess of it. I don't know how much more of that politicians and the Edo State people can take in looking at issues, because these are real life issues that the Edo State individuals are facing, right? And then we have conversations about you have children, you don't have children. Make it make sense.
It's sad. That's the word. Jesse, make it make sense. Because it doesn't make sense. Edo is suffering. I have people that have called me and said, Rufai, you know what, we're bringing XYZ investment in Edo, but there's no security. Make it make sense, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
In PDP, on the other hand, we have a Wike who was chastising other PDP members and governors for being two-faced, talking about the fact that he's a man of character, and he was accusing the PDP governors of playing both sides, and how he didn't hide it in 2023 when he said he wouldn't support the PDP's presidential candidate, or he wouldn't support PDP for the presidential elections. I mean, I don't know how much.
I beg you, Wike to himself is two-faced. If Atiku had given him running mates, forget it.
Would he have taken it? Do you think he would have taken it?
He will take it. There are many internal talks that was even showing that he was close to getting it. He would have taken it. Forget it. All of it is about his own personal ambition. When things don't go their way, that's why he starts to scream. Now he says, I will put fire in your state because you think you can pay money and disrupt the octet in their states. So is that the way forward? He will have taken it. Forget politicians, the only thing for them is about the ambition. You are saying he will not have taken running mate. Are you joking, Gessie? So somebody that took minister will not have taken the possibility of being a vice president. I beg you. He wanted it. In fact, I think their things fell apart, but maybe when he was so sure he was going to get it and he didn't get it in the end. Or Atiku didn't take it his way. He wanted it. So all of this was because he was not made VP. So forget all of this. Let's stop deceiving ourselves. Anything Wike says, just always know that it's for his own personal selfish agenda. What he feels hurt by is the fact that other governors have not decided to start with Fubara, other PDP governors. So that's just it. And he forgets that, you see, the order of the politics is because of money. Now that Fubara controls the wealth of the state, which is also a very bad one, because when a leader controls the wealth, he's supposed to control for the people, not for his own personal gains. So is that going to be the game of how you can buy goodwill and buy popularity? Because you see, and goodwill is so easy to buy in Nigeria because the country is poor already. All you just need to do is to give a couple of chump change to media, give a couple of chump change to stakeholders. By the time you spend hundreds of, 50s of billions here and there, the money you ought to be using for the development of the people, you spend it to be able to earn your goodwill. Everybody's singing your praises everywhere. And that's why Nigeria keeps being in the problem today. These are the truths of the matter that we only tell here on VOP that you never hear anywhere else. That's why we set up VOP, to be able to speak the truth to the people. Make the people aware of the truth and the propaganda and the mindset and the shenanigan of politicians, so that you can make your decision for yourself. And that's why you can't be listening to VOP and your life will never change. Honestly. Because we say it to you the way it ought to be said.
Okay, Rufai, the president, there are conversations that the president is set to rejig his cabinet. I mean, for lack of a better word, we saw quote unquote a sham of a review of what the ministers have been doing so far. The 1 year review of the ministers and the cabinet so far. But there's been conversations that the president will shake up the cabinet due to
We've been
pressure.
hearing conversations like this a time. Let's wait till he shakes them up.
Mm.
Because if he doesn't shake them up, this conversation of shake up cabinet is becoming the talk like shaky shaky daddy. You remember that advert? A medic 55. Mommy, daddy's shaking. Don't do your daddy's not back. Shaky shaky daddy. We shake cabinet, we shake cabinet. If you don't shake the cabinet, you become shaky shaky daddy. So let him reject, because it was the same man that told us that if people do not perform the first 6 months, then nothing will happen. Okay, look at where I am as I am driving now. People are carrying jerry cans of fuel here to go and sell as black market. Can you imagine the country will become? Can you imagine? And 1 5 liter will be sold for over 10 to 15,000 naira. Eh? And we are an oil producing nation.
All right. Finally, before I let you go, right, the World Athletics Under 20 Championships ended, and Nigeria finished empty-handed once again. We went for the other competition, the Olympics, and we came back empty-handed. Now we have the World Athletics Under 20 Championships, and we came back empty-handed. What exactly is going on in the sports?
The empty-handedness of coming back from trophy is a reflection of what Nigeria has become. Let's stop deceiving ourselves. It's a reflection of what Nigeria has become. No planning now. I want to come back empty-handed. Is it not here you were that they are talking about even the payment for people that are going to Olympics? Have they given them their money complete? Those that went to Commonwealth Games, have they given them their money complete? Is it not here you were, you and I? The NFF announced a coach. The Labadia is coming to take over. We're already happy. The next thing they said, they didn't finalize the deal. And you want success for being in sport activities. Bless you, myself. Let's stop deceiving ourselves, Jerry. Guess you have a good day.
All right. You too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, bye.
All right, to you listening, you have the opportunity to call. By the way, we are live on YouTube. I don't know how I forgot to say that, but we're live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. You should join us, Voice of the People Abuja. We're live on YouTube at Voice of the People Abuja. And we've been talking a little bit about NNPC finally admitting to owing $6 billion in debt, right? $6 billion in debt to its suppliers. $6 billion is one of the reasons why we're having the queues rampant in Abuja and cut across different states in the country at the moment. We also have in the news Wike talking about the fact that he's a man of character and how other members of the PDP are hypocritical, calling them two-faced individuals who go to Aso Villa at night and then come out during the day to drag the president. Anyway, you can join the conversation 0808 312 8618 0808 312 8618 is the number to call to be a part of our conversation this morning. We have resident doctors who have suspended their one-in strike and resume work today. We also have 21 million naira jumbo pay, Serap suing Akpabio and Abbas for fixing the National Assembly's running cost. We also have in the news Nigeria finishing empty-handed at the World Athletics Under 20 Championships just after our dismal performance at the Olympics. Even with all the stalwarts, the individuals that we had, strong athletes that we had at that Olympics, we had Otobi Amuson, Blessing Oburu Dudu, we had Favor Fili, we had Ese Brume, we had Kadri Aruna. All of them failed to deliver. Why do we keep having issues like this? We have Wike threatening the PDP governors for supporting Fubara. We also have we have this voice in the news talking about and the Minister of Women Affairs, Uju, talking about the fact that she disrupted a particular event organized without her knowledge for women. Let's take a listen to what was said in that particular conversation.
Forgive me. I know what I am going through in this country. For a while, this is all we keep on organizing. And a few weeks ago, there was hunger protest. And they talk about peace and security. Women are not empowered. Children are suffering. Nigerians are suffering. But we waste money all the time in frivolous things that don't make sense. I am sorry. Many people may misunderstand me, but I am ready to be misunderstood. I am ready to be tortured. I am ready. I don't want to break down here. This is it. I have changed the narratives. I said, no program without empowerment. The women, you're talking about peace and security. With poverty, how can you solve it? You keep talking, you're doing workshop, you're doing this, you're doing that. With poverty, where are we heading to? And how do we solve that poverty? By directing monies to the wrong channels and don't make any impact on the humans. On those people you want them to change and give you peace. And I've changed narratives. I said that don't do any program without empowerment. I was meant, UNICEF has come to me, we've changed the work plan, we've made it to favor the children that they will benefit. This my woman, Mrs. Eunice, Beatrice, would have done the same, but she was sick. She was not feeling well. Then, why do something? At least if they had come to me, I would have told them how to get these things. Okay, I know. How to get it organized so that it will favor our people. They give money in the ministries. It is used for travels, programs, nothing that will impact the nation. But if you hear the amount of money government gives out to ministries, you will be shocked. Why should it continue like that? Why?
All right. Well, that was the conversation had with the Minister of Women Affairs. And we also have a lot more to be talked about this morning. But PDP is at the front burner of our conversation this morning on the arena, and you want to stick around for all that. All right, we've got bills to pay. I'll be back at 8 o'clock with Mr. Larry Oguego. Make sure that you keep it locked right here. I've got some ads to pay. Make sure that you keep